Well, I've been on digs since I was old enough to hold a trowel. My father taught me.
What are they?
We're standing in someone's graveyard, I reckon. Viking? Oh, maybe older.
Mr. Brown is an archaeologist.
Well, I'm an excavator.
You've come to dig up the mounds.
Hello everyone, it's Emma from Lightsheet Pink Planner. This week I'm going to be doing a plan with me, but as you can see, I've already started to do quite a considerable chunk of the planning. Now, the reason for this being is that I like to try and talk about something while I'm doing my planning. And this week, I've been inspired to talk about the Netflix show, The Dig. Now, I live in Norfolk, and I live not too far away from the Sutton Hoo site. So I have a little bit of, I don't know, which you maybe call it insider's information, as in I have visited the site many years ago now. Now, I know that it's had a lot of lottery funding, and so the site is a lot different from probably when I saw it, realistically, 20 years ago. Oh, all of a sudden it dawned on me just how old I was when I was thinking back to when I might have actually visited the site. And oh dear, that's a scary thought to think that I would have visited about 20 years ago. The show itself is based off a book. Now, the book was called The Dig, and I'm now about to look for the name of the author. Apologies, I have wrote quite a lot of notes to go along with this. It was written by John Preston. The novel was inspired by the actual dig of the Sutton Hoo site. The book was published and released in 2008. And the film, The Dig, was released directly to Netflix in 2021. I believe on the 29th of January. Let's just try and find the sticker that says weekend. This is the new format from Oodlemadoodles. There's a reason why I've picked this particular kit, and this kit is called Growth. Now, I will explain as I go further along, but it doesn't appear that there is a weekend sticker here anymore. Maybe I've lost my marbles. There is a very high chance I have lost my marbles. Hold on. No, there's a cancelled. Okay. Never mind. Move on, you nugget. Move on. Okay. So, the film is very beautifully done. I haven't seen a film that has been produced in that particular way. So there are some parts where you will see the actors actually not talking, but you can still hear them kind of like talking over. It's very beautifully done. The colour tones of the film kind of almost brings me back probably to about the era that it is set in, around about the 1930s and 40s. Everything is very muted. There is no bright colours anywhere during this film, and everything feels very subdued all the way through. Absolutely beautifully done. And there's something about the end credits, the way how they put the credits on, something about the font and the way that they did it. So if you imagine, you know, this is like your end screen, okay, and then the credits are coming down, and they're all coming up on this particular corner, so you can still kind of like see what is going on here, and then the credits are rolling up here. I thought that was a very beautiful touch. A bit of history for you as I start to do a bit of more planning. So, Edith Pretty came from a Yorkshire family. Now, the family was relatively wealthy due to the business that they owned. Edith herself, as a young child and young woman, travelled quite extensively, and even at some points travelled into Egypt. This is where she began to get a passion for archaeology. In the First World War, she served as a quartermaster in the auxiliary hospital of Winsford. She went on to marry Major Frank Pretty in 1926. Together, they then bought the Sutton Hoo estate in Woodbridge in Suffolk. However, sadly, just 4 years later, Edith's husband died, meaning that Edith basically had no family other than a sister, Elizabeth. She was left with obviously this very large estate, and her partner had initially brought that particular area because they had an interest to dig up these mounds that were on the Sutton Hoo estate. In 1937, Edith hired a self-taught archaeologist. He referred to himself as an excavator, and his name was Basil Brown. Basil was born in 1888 east of Ipswich. Now, by the age of 12, Basil was expected that he would go and help his father with the farm. He stopped his formal education. Now, this was something that slightly bothered Basil. He always had a passion for studying. He did actually go to some evening school lessons. Basil earned himself diplomas in astronomy, geography, drawing and geology. He also managed to teach himself Latin and French. He did dabble in Spanish and German, but not to the point that he was fluent in it, unlike Latin and French. Now, in 1923, Basil married Dorothy Oldfield, who was more affectionately known as May. Now, they both continued to live and work on the farm that Basil worked with his father. May basically took over the farm while Basil went off to pursue his passion. They lost the farm in 1934. Now, this is an interesting bit because in the film, there is a scene where Basil decides to quit the dig. The young son, Robert, cycles all the way from Sutton Hoo to then go and find Mr. Brown because Mr. Brown had made him a promise. Now, again, I'm not going to release what information. However, this isn't factually correct because the dig took place in 1939 and they lost the farmhouse in 1934. Now, in the scene, young Robert is seen cycling to a farmhouse. There we go. Just added a few little stickers on there because I think they look quite pretty. Although I do feel I've not quite done that right, but that's because I'm blabbing on instead of concentrating on what I should be doing. Okay. Now, I've literally tried to get as much information that I can on this one because I'm trying to be factual. And I sat watching the film and then I've done some research, which I'm including some images. And I've even managed, I scoured the internet and I managed to find a BBC archive of Basil actually talking.
The first thing was we put a trench from east to west and we came across a heap of clinch snails from a ship, and these are usually associated with Scandinavian boats, and when we got down there was a boat-shaped grave and some rivets.
The actor who plays Basil had to obviously try and tweak that Suffolk accent. Now, I've roughly spoken about this on some other videos about the Norfolk accent. Well, the Suffolk accent is obviously slight variations of the Norfolk accent. And I have to say, the actor actually did very, very well, especially with his mannerisms.
Mrs. Pretty, I think you'd better come and see. A man could dig the earth his whole life through. Not find anything like I've discovered here. From the first human handprint on a cave wall, we're part of something continuous.
Now, if you ever come to the county of Norfolk and Suffolk, and if you ever have the pleasure of meeting farm folk, you will understand this mannerism very, very much. It is very old school, old world, but very gentle. Don't talk too much. You know, answers are very, very to the point. And again, you can see this reflected very, very well in Mr. Brown.
Would you have dinner with me?
Thank you. Yes.
I just think hats off to them because it was absolutely beautifully done. So, I've kind of gone off point. Basil was hired by Edith to look over this site that was of interest to her and her now passed away husband. Basil was often overlooked for years by many of the educated, qualified archaeologists. So after Basil starts to find these particular things, and he documents everything because he has a feeling, along with Edith, that this is something very, very important. He then goes and it is then passed on to the Ipswich Museum. Then it gets to the point where the British Museum of London is brought in, and they essentially take over the site because it is of national importance. And I think one of the saddest things for me was that he was not allowed to be part of the actual excavation of the main burial site, even though he had uncovered it himself and worked out roughly where it was. For years, he was never recognised for his part that he played in this whole excavation dig. He was only officially recognised as playing such a big and important role in 2009. Okay, he died in 1977, so up until then he was never officially recognised for this massive role that he played. And it's absolutely devastating. You know, he wasn't an archaeologist by name, but then in Death and on plaques they then give him this title. And there's a lot of me that feels for him. He had this passion for knowledge, but he was just seen as the underdog. Edith was officially declared the owner of the treasure site because there always has to be an inquest whenever there's anything found, especially if there are remains, etc., etc. She decided to donate everything to the British Museum to enable people, every and ordinary people is what it was known as, to be able to access this and learn from it. And I always get the impression from what I've read that both Edith and Basil had this shared passion for education. Basil himself wrote a book, and it wasn't really recognised again because he was considered to be uneducated. Now, he actually wrote this book, and it was an astrological charts and map books, and he wrote it for the ordinary man to be able to understand it. I've picked this particular kit, and it's called Growth. Now, I couldn't think of a more fitting kit to go as a dedication to Basil. Basil, this ordinary man who didn't have any extensive education, and the same with Edith. She was educated in the 1920s, where women were not given a full and extensive education. She obviously had a very, very inquisitive mind that at some point her husband recognised because they invested in Sutton Hoo to be able to see if there was something there. And their gut instincts were absolutely right. And with the help of Basil, this ordinary man discovered this amazing, life-changing find. It changed many people's opinions of the Anglo-Saxon, how they would walk about on this earth every single day. So, moving on. Let's actually lay some stickers down. Friday round here is bin day and all of that jazz. Got pancake day. Does anybody else on Pancake Day hear that song from the BBC TV the children's TV programme by the BBC, Maid Marian and Her Merry Men? And it starts off with, "It's Pancake Day, yes it's Pancake Day, yes it's Pancake Day." Does anybody else sing that on Pancake Day? Maybe it is just me, but every year I hear it, every single year. So, What we getting done on Friday then? Oh, I can't remember what bin it is. It's definitely the recycle bin. But with the snow and everything, they've been a day behind, so I'm going to hazard a guess that they've caught up. There we go. It's also half term. Well, it is in the county of Norfolk. I don't know whether it's half term for everybody, but it's certainly half term here. I always have a messy bun getting stuff done at the moment. Well, actually, no, tell a lie. I don't tend to have a messy bun, but I have messy plaits. There you go. Now I'm going to type in here that it is Pancake Day on there. Is there anything that looks like a Pancake Day symbol? What I would call my big clean day is always on a Friday. I love this kit. It's just so beautiful. I just thought the term growth, it's everything that summed up Basil and how he continually, you know, educated himself. And it was continuous growth. And it just proves that it doesn't matter how old you are. If you put your mind to something and you want to do it, you absolutely can. And nothing should stop you. And so I dedicated this kit growth because I just thought it was just perfect. Absolutely perfect for Basil. So this was obviously an extra deco. I just felt I wanted the extra little bit. Yeah, that's fine. I was a bit worried that it wouldn't quite look right, but I'm okay with that tree. No, blinking stunning. That's what that looks. Blinking stunning. Right, let's put all these bits away. Have another sippy sip of some tea that's probably gone very cold. Oh, that's cold. That is a special kind of cold. That was hard going down. But I am very thirsty, so I'm going to have another sip. Oh, look at this. Look at that. Burnt that on the oven, not paying attention. I was talking to my husband when getting a pita bread even out of the oven. Oh, I caught it. On to the typing.
Subject, fire. Dear Sir Stroke Madam, I'm writing to inform you of a fire.
Oops. Oops. Okay, so there will be some other bits I'll be adding in. Oh no, look. Oh well, as with everything, there's a story to be told. The day I burnt my planner, look. Let's see what I might be able to get away with. Reed diffuser up the corner. I think I'm going to have to leave it, because if I keep titivating with it, I'm going to ruin it. Not that, you know, burning didn't ruin it at all. Yeah, it's just, whoa, steady, nearly done it again. Look at that. Some people just don't learn. Come on. There we go. Now I've ripped that off. So, on that note, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you for watching me set fire to my spread. I've got to somehow make these pictures look artistic. I mean, that's going to be a bit difficult. I have to find something to cover up the burn mark up there. Until next week then, take care and see you soon. Enjoy the bloopers. It's pancake day. Yes, it's pancake day. Yes, it's pancake day. Skip, 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 skip. Cancel out, cancel out, cancel out. Change. Dunno. Can't get my bearings on this one. She did